What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your July 15th reading, your daily creative reading. We are here and doing this, so um, let's dive on in. I set the intention already, so that looks like we have a winner. Winner chicken dinner. Okay, so thank you so much, Spirit. What other messages do you have for my daily creatives for July 15th, please? Messages for July 15th. You want this one? Okay. Oh, you are divine beauty. I can't see what you can see right now because I got a new tempered glass for my phone, and it has like this like fancy thing where if it's on any kind of angle, you can't really see the screen, which is great. It's like I really only look up mostly like cat memes and things like that. But anyways, so I hope that you can see everything clearly. It looks like it, yeah. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for July 15th, please? I'm hearing a foghorn, like a ship. Um, I'm very landlocked where I am, so maybe for somebody, a foghorn like a ship. Seven of Pentacles. We have the Hanged Man, Ace of Wands, the Star, Queen of Swords, Four of Wands. Okay, Death, Queen of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, and the World. I mean, like, all right, just end the Friday on a bang. It's fine. What are you ending this day on? Oh, just the Ten of Pentacles and the World. It's good. We're good, right? Um, so, my assistant needed to make her face known, I guess. Yes, didn't you? So the Seven of Pentacles here, it's like starting the week off, like there's to me this says that there's stuff that you've been working on. There's a sort of satisfaction with it, but there's this sense of waiting. Like this can be in a sense impatience because something isn't coming to fruition quickly enough, which like I'm right there with you, trust me. Like I got a lot of signifiers on my chart that would suggest that I would understand this well. And I do, independent of the chart. But it's like there's this I feel like there's a way that the pause is giving you some sense of peace here because of the Seven of Pentacles and the Hanged Man. It's like there's an enlightenment that's coming from the wait. There's a pace here. There's a pace that's been taking shape because there needed to be an internal spark lit. Like there are external sparks that can be lit. Yes, like we can get different ideas, but those are the knights and the pages to me in tarot. The Ace of Wands is like the internal something that, and I like I'm thinking back to that Christina Lopez video. Now my third eye is itchy. um, about the lock. Like there's something that we were maybe unlocking in terms of collective energy. It's like there's something that was maybe being unlocked in the pace of things, right? Like I feel like there might be a sense of things picking up speed energetically, like an acceleration of energy of some kind. For example, last night I was reading through, so I'm reading a lot of books that are, well, I'm reading books that are kind of like 3D anchored, and some people might be like, what in the actual shit? But like, for example, I'm reading this one right now, right? And people might be like, are you all right? Like, what? But no, like I love reading books like that. But in terms of the acceleration of energy, I was thinking to myself, oh, you know what? I really want to reread the book Attributes by Rich Diviney. And then I checked because I have a Kobo because we're in Canada. But so I checked the website, and it was like $1.99, and it's like that kind of quick manifestation. Like something is like boom, picking up speed. And that book I think was normally like 19 something, but for some reason I was doing weights today, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna just check that because I was like, this feels ridiculous. But I checked anyway. I was like, checked it $1.99. So I purchased it for like what 90% off, like something ridiculous like that, right? So it's like the acceleration of energy and manifesting is gonna be like picking up speed. I feel, but I feel like what's more important than the speed of things is your clarity because of this Ace of Wands energy of this like spark, right? This internal spark, it's like the ignition is turning. Ignition is turning, like the car is starting. I mean, I know with with the car I have now, it's very different. I don't have the ignition. I just like push a button and it turns on, which still feels like I'm driving a spaceship, by the way. um, but which I'm very grateful for. It's a very cool spaceship. Its name is Oberon, Obi for short. But so this internal spark, though, going back to that, the reason why I feel like it's like the main feature here, the focal point isn't the spark itself. So don't get distracted by something that catches your interest. That is important, yes, but sit with it, feel it, observe that, because your clarity through that sitting with something is going to be the more important thing here. Specifically with the Queen of Wands being, or Queen of Wands, I feel like there's something about your energy that's the Queen of Wands here. The Queen of Swords is this clarity, and it might be taking you into a Queen of Wands place where you're there's like a certainty without attachment, and you just know what to do. Like this is the mobilization of the Ace of Wands energy here. So it's like watching not just your reactions, but not getting too caught up in the feeling of what feels like momentum, right? Because I feel like there's not been a ton of it, but that's okay, right? Sometimes it's just a slow pace. Sometimes it's a slow pace. There's much that I learned last summer or 2 summers ago. Time feels weird since the pandemic, and I don't necessarily have a good mind for numbers and holding them. So that's like, I leave that to other people. That's not my strength. My strengths are elsewhere. So I engage my energy accordingly. But one of the things I remember was when I was running every day. I think it was through 2020, the summer of 2020, and there were slugs on the track every morning, and it would be like agonizing to watch them try to get across. But then I just sat there. So I sat on the track, legs crossed. There's nobody there at that time. I was running at about 6 a.m. and sometimes 5 a.m. actually too. But I just sat and watched them, right? Just, sat legs crossed, hands behind me, just chilling, relaxing, just watching them move. And they do move really quickly. They move quickly for what they are, an invertebrate, right? Like they move so fast. So I was just thinking to myself, recently, especially I went for a run this morning, and I was like, man, like I haven't seen any slugs. They usually come out when it's really damp, and like there's a specific time of like it towards August or so, more of them emerge, and you can see them crossing from like the wooded area into the field that is in the pitch. Inside the track. But it's like it's something about that where it's like there's a deceptiveness to the way that what it is that you're doing or your energy is presenting that might have other people categorize something like that. And it's about not necessarily tuning out other people altogether. It's about understanding, how do I word this, Spirit? I'm seeing a cup. Thank you so much. It's about understanding the container that you have for your energy and the container that you have for your own momentum, right? Because it doesn't really matter what other people aren't going to pour into that cup. You have to do that. That's your container. So it's not about dictating the terms or rules, but it's about understanding the way that energy is flowing. It's about understanding that it doesn't have anything to do, like, these are not, the cards that I'm not seeing here are a 5 of Wands, a 5 of Swords, a 7 of Swords, and other people's information or opinions coming into the mix. There's no 5 of Wands. I think I mentioned that. I don't know. But like, this is all you. So it's like understanding your container. And this is also the same thing. There's like a portal. I'm hearing Lion's Gate. So something about that could be important. Yeah. I just feel a lot like you might be inclined to pay attention to one aspect of an idea or just an energy that pops up. But the main thing is going to be looking at the clarity. And I think so this is in the position of could become a tower if it goes unchecked. And I think this is sort of like taking healing for granted, like taking the work that you did for granted and not giving yourself enough credit, because that's what really kind of tarnishes hope for us, doesn't it? Like it takes away from our capacity to hope. It takes away from our capacity to fathom something bigger than ourselves, of which we are a part and connected to. And I think that is the what could become a tower is that just affects so much, right? It makes it so that it's hard for us to feel like progress is possible, and not progress for the sake of movement, but just progress for your healing, right? Um, there are big shifts here because we have death as the challenge. Now, the antagonist is this Four of Wands. And I think this is addressing the expectation. 1010 was just on the time. I think this is about addressing expectations a little bit for and of stability. Like, what does long term connection feel like? What does stability feel like? What do you want it to feel like? Not just in relationship, because knowing that is also really important, right? I think about setting intentions. Thank you so much, Spirit. That's brilliant. Yes, because even with the book, like finding that book, right? And thinking to myself, well, I intend to look up the book. I intend to read this book regardless of whether I have to do it through an e-reading thing from a library or whatever. Like I intend to read this book. So, and well, to reread this book because it was brilliant when I read it the first time. But it's like, I wanted to dive back into it. So the intention was there and things just came like this. I didn't have the expectation of like, well, I need to do a deep dive and analyze and blah, blah, blah. No, it's just, it was just a very clear and pure, like, I should look that up. And it's like that sense of curiosity. So it's almost like attachments that might stymie your ability to be curious about situations happening in your life. And Four of Wands doesn't necessarily mean attachment, but the way I'm seeing it here in the antagonist position is that the ways that we've attached to what stability should mean or should look like, right? What does it mean when we say someone is a stable person? Well, they, generally speaking, for me at least, it's when they know what they want, when I don't have to guess. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to have someone who's decisive around you in friendship, relationship, in work connections, whatever. People who are, and not like sole decision makers who don't take other people's things into consideration, but it's just like when someone just knows what they want, it's so much clearer. And I feel like that's where you're getting. I feel like that's what you're getting. And not really, it's almost like it's the challenge is understanding that you can, this is, it's almost like a take on the magician for me, this energy here. I feel like this is a little bit of magician energy with the star here in this sort of Pluto positioning in this particular like hero's journey. And then this showing up as plutonic transformative energy in the form of Scorpio is like, to me, it's really telling. And I also think about this like infinity here at the bottom, right? So it's like there's a certain inevitability here. And it's not so much this letting go. It's just sort of, it's like understanding that anything is possible right now. And it's understanding that anything is possible because until you're clear about what you want, you can't, like, compassion is inaccessible. Hope feels inaccessible. Uh, feeling like something is worth investing in, like in terms of a job or anything like that. Like it can feel futile because if you don't know what you want, all you're doing is burning energy. That's all you're doing is just burning energy. But I feel like there's the Queen of Pentacles here. It's sort of the overcoming of this. And it's really, I feel like this is really about not it's the pentacles. To me, it can sound almost trite to be like, oh, investing in yourself. What does that mean though? Like I talked to my friend about this because she and I do, relationships and friendships differently, right? Like we do it differently, but it's so complementary. So we talk about this sometimes where she'll say that her thing is like loving her people really hard. Like and I love that. That's so like, it's just this beautiful, like, I don't even know. It's so good. I'm very lucky to know her. Like, I'm so grateful. And we were talking about just the different ways that we love, right? So for me, it's like investing in people, like giving them time, giving them, and not over giving either. So that's something too, because she can do that too. We can get into this place of that. That's a thing for sure. But I think it's like investing in other people at this depth of like, it's not just first or second chances. It's like let's see you run with this. Let's see how this goes. Let's, and it's being very giving in that way. But what I'm seeing here, and something that she and I have both talked about, is like, how does she love herself hard? How does she do that for her? Right. So, I mean, and Steph, if you're watching, I love you, buddy. um, but this is, yeah, it's, it's that energy of like kind of reflecting on how we give to ourselves as well, right? Like, how do you love yourself hard? How do you love on you, right? How do you, how do you invest in yourself? And those things where it's like the ways that you engage with other people. I do feel like there's shifts happening here because things are going to pick up really quickly. Like, I feel like there's like a momentum energy. Sorry if that snap was really loud. I always try to do it like to make a point, but then I'm like, oh no. But there's something about the energy picking up here. Definitely. Absolutely. hmm And it's picking up in a direction to me where it's like you're all in. Like, I'm hearing I'm all in, which can be, just with this 10 of Pentacles, like you're all in. But in a legacy way. And this, I think that there's a depth of safety here for you. Like, there's a depth of security. That's, to me, that strikes me as very root center energy, where it's like there's this depth of safety and security and stability that it's like, and I think about the colors in tarot decks are never chosen at random, right? This is very carefully constructed, and that's where you start to see the beauty of it when you read these intuitively. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles, it probably isn't a mistake that this pentacle is the sacral orange, right? It probably isn't a mistake, because it's like, how do you invest in yourself sensually? How do you invest in yourself? And sensuality can sometimes seem so bloody frivolous. Like, it can just seem like the silliest thing to focus on. But like, I love the smell of my stargazer lilies, right? When they open up, and even white lilies, that's, whatever, they all have that scent when they open up, and it's like when they're at their peak, they just put on such a beautiful show. So it's like I'll get flowers for myself because I just really like them. Um, and that's where people use essential oils a lot too, where they have like a scent that grounds and anchors them. Sensuality is also about having a lotion that smells good, even, or using a specific kind of fabric softener or detergent on your sheets if you like the smell, and no one in your home is sensitive to scent. Like, those things are, that's important, right? It's important to do that. So it's almost like, but the other thing is that by doing those things, this is like a million little ways that we can connect to ourself, and not just connecting to ourself, but investing in ourself. That tells us that we're worth it. And it's like, I've heard it said before that you teach people how to treat you. And in some ways I've pushed against that, because it means that you can't just do you. Like, you have to do things for other people, which is a very codependent energy, right? You have to like teach other people. No, like, you have to be so good on your own and in your own energy that it speaks for itself. You do not have to do anything, right? You don't have to do anything, which felt really counterintuitive for a while, because I was like, woo, like, this feels like, I feel like I need to be giving people information or teaching them or doing something, and it also implies that boundaries are a lot harder to construct than they are, right? Yeah. And sometimes they are tough, so go easy on yourself if you're in that place. Like, they can be quite challenging, especially if you're in the midst of learning a really important lesson. It can be really hard. And so I don't want to speak down to that, but not impossible, right? So you've got this. If you needed a sign, you've got this. Um, the big message that I'm seeing here is you might feel inclined to jump to an idea, but it's about being very clear about how you've invested your energy in the past and where. Um, and I think this is sort of that pause, right? It's like, it's, instead of seeing a pause as this Seven of Pentacles, like, when is it going to pick up? Like, come on, let's do this. Moving to this Hanged Man place of, let me just honor myself and ask important questions of my energy right now. And that doesn't necessarily need to always be the case. Sometimes it feels like tedium, I'm sure. But when you get to a place of, it's like this recognition that you begin to carve out in your energy, where you don't need to constantly question. You don't need to ask those questions often, because it becomes a rhythm that you get into where you recognize it's like the rhythm of worth. That's what I'm going to make the title of this, the rhythm of worth. Um, yeah, or a worthy rhythm. Um, there's something that's coming to fruition, but not in the way that you may have expected or anticipated as well, specifically with the expectations that I'm seeing here and this 10 of Pentacles in the world. There's like, I'm feeling like there's this, you could emphasize, you could focus on the ending of whatever has ended, because I feel like the ending has already taken place. I don't remember specifics of yesterday's reading, but I do know that I've had like a lot of vibes of like endings. I think it was 10 of Wands. Thank you so much, Spirit. Yeah, now it's like 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands, right? And it's like the frustration is just like letting go and allowing. There's like a letting go and allowing, because the ending has already taken place. So what energy you engage now is not just about determining what happens next, but it's also about how have you learned to honor yourself? And not as a test. I mean, some people see the world as a test. It's Saturnian energy. That's kind of Saturn's jam. But it's also like a loving discipline, right? Like, it's like, how have you brought yourself to where you are, right? I think it was Zodi Am. So ZODI_AM on Instagram had a post the other day about Saturn and like a love letter to Saturn, right? And I was like, yeah, that's like on point. Absolutely on point. And I feel like that's sort of like looking at this from the perspective of like writing a love letter to your Saturn, and understanding that what might have been hard doesn't need to be, but also understanding that there's so much healing that's taken place, that to sit in that energy of hard for too much longer is what's going to take away from your hope. It's going to start to chip away at that. And that's not to say drop it. It's to say take the lessons from it, yes. On the other side of it, though, understand that eventually you have to pull from that space. You have to move into a new, you've got it, the chrysalis, your wings are going to unfold eventually, right? I went to a butterfly conservatory and I was talking to the person in like where they have all of them. She said that there were a certain number of them born every day. And I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. It's like, you get to see like the cycle of life. It's like 2222 on the time. So you get to see the cycle of life, like the whole time. Like, this is amazing. And we talked about how once the butterflies come out of their chrysalis, the wings, they have to dry, so it looks like you'll see these like all of these butterflies just chilling, just hanging out, on the sides because their wings are drying. So like that's where you're at. I feel it with something. There's like something where your wings are drying, and don't confuse that with being inside the chrysalis. Don't confuse that for being inside the cocoon at a different stage. You're just drying your wings off, lovelies. You're just drying your wings. That's really beautiful. Yeah, that's because that's this hanged man energy, right? You're drying your wings off, right? This isn't a pause of like, I need to, redo something or change and blah, 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 blah. It's nothing like that. Just enjoy where you are. Your wings are drying. You're fine. It's not even about you got this, because you do. You just have to be kind enough to yourself to know that your wings are drying off. And maybe that's the Saturn lesson, because things that have been hard won for a long time. I was going to say too long, but like when you're in that place of things that have come hard won for too long, you can get into a place of feeling like that's just the norm, like that's how it is, like things are just hard now. No, it's almost like this ease and allowing is the Saturn lesson. Oh my God. Okay. I feel like that's big. That's a big yeah. Spirit, thank you so much for that. Woo! I have like my own energy, just like I felt like a sparkler just went up my entire energy system there on that one. Thank you, Spirit. Yeah. Imagine that. If a Saturnian lesson towards the end of it, the punchline of one at least, was that it didn't need to be that hard, and that it was okay for you to accept that this part can just be easier. Yeah. Spirit, what messages do you have to start to close out this reading for the Chariot? Yeah. It's the forward movement, right? This is like your wings are dried. Now what? Right? This is like, now what? I feel like you're prepped and ready to start. You're starting, or prepped and ready to do so. This is about like moving on what's most important to you. So don't like this. I'm tempted to say don't hold back, and do take action. Like, this is a time where like what you do counts, but not in a way of like you're going to put the quarter in and the thing is going to come out. It's not like that. No, the Chariot in this sense to me is about, it's a legacy energy. Cancerian energy is the fourth house, which is about familial legacy, right? And the 10 of Pentacles is like, the 10 of Pentacles is also a legacy energy. And I feel like you're stepping into some kind of power. Maybe you didn't know that it could be that easy. And it's not easy as in like it's never going to be work, right? Like the Chariot and the 10 of Pentacles are work. That's working energy. But I feel like the way that you might have conceived of it being impossible is where it's like this is shifting. Something, maybe you thought something was impossible. Or at the very least, maybe the amount of time you were waiting for something made you feel like it wasn't coming, or like there was something that wasn't working. So you felt like you had to do all of these things and overwork because of the way that stability was, was shaping up in your energy, the way that you felt stability should be, what it should look like, shoulds and oughts and coulds and woulds, but don't and didn't for reasons, right? Like, Three of Wands, Three of Swords. Yeah, it's like this sense of like, okay, now you've, the Three of Swords is clarifying the Hanged Man and the Star, and it's like you've healed the disappointment. Don't let the disappointment stick around longer than it needs to, because you wear it as this badge, or as this, it's almost like a pin, like a decorative pin that you wear, right? It's like I'm seeing something like that where you're like, look at this. Do you see this? Look at this. And it's like, it's not in a way that's like, look at all the things I've been to. Woe unto me. It's not like that. It's like, you know, when I think I've talked about this before, but where I got a bracelet of lava stone, after my marriage ended and things like that, because I wanted to wear the reminder for a time that I could walk through fire and be okay. Because that period was really tough. And I found that I was like, I'm grateful that I didn't get a tattoo or anything. Some people do that, but it's like, what are you emotionally tattooing in your auric layers? What are you emotionally tattooing in your emotional body? Right? Like, what is that's happening? So it's just being mindful of that. And I think that can be a tower, right? I think that can necessitate a tower to shift something. So just being mindful of how you close this out, in your energy, release it, but remember that you don't need to wear something. And then the Three of Wands here on the Seven of Pentacles, Death, and Queen of Pentacles. I feel like you're ready. Whatever is next, you're ready for, because you've integrated the lessons and you've understood that the waiting was the transformation that was the transformation period. But because there's this sort of frustrated energy that can come from it with this 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords that showed up yesterday, it's like you might have gotten it confused for something other than what it actually is. Where it's like now you're able to see things a lot clearer because you're going within, right? You're going within more on self-worth, on value, on yes, you are enough, on safety. And this Three of Wands is saying that there's this, it's almost like portal. Like I see a lot of like portal energy, portal. Like, sorry, there's sometimes they're a little crooked. I've only got so much hand. But that's like portal energy, right? So all of this portal stuff. And I think this is where it's like the passion has facilitated this way for you to show up in this death energy as now next, right? Like now next, not like a thank you next. I can't remember who wrote that. I think it was Selena Gomez. Nope. I feel like that's wrong. I'm not sure. Um, but it's like that. It's not from that place. It's more of a what next? Like, how good can it get? Like, how good can it get? Because the waiting period gave you a perspective that you might not have had. Yeah, strength came out. Yeah, it gave you a perspective. And this is Leo, which adds to that Lion's Gate portal that I feel like is going to be important. Um, but this is really like it's like it gave you access to something, some aspect of yourself. And this also speaks to the death and rebirth here, right? Like this gave you, this is like the energy, this is what it looks like in 5D, and this is what it looks like in 3D, right? The way that you're integrating this, like you're able to to roar, I suppose. um but there's a comfort level that you have with being seen and with standing in that power, with standing in that courage and confidence. And in a lot of ways, the Ace of Wands, the Queen of Swords, and the Strength card, the simplicity of this in a sentence would look or sound like the courage to be yourself completely, authentically, and fully makes you fucking unstoppable. It makes you unstoppable. What do you want to be unstoppable about? That's where you set the intention. Because that energy needs to go somewhere. And I think part of this lesson or cycle is clearing the things that were stopping the flow of that energy and frustrating it. And but also allowing it to just to flow, because you recognize that it's not about you. It's not about you. And that's, let me contextualize this in the way that it's coming across. It's not about you, just meaning that it was about blocks. And it's like when you personalize the energy and you say it's because of me, it's because of something in me, then it frustrates the energy. When you can depersonalize it from your worth and value, is it something that you could figure out right away? Maybe not. Maybe it needed the Seven of Pentacles. So by waiting, instead of on that journey saying, well, I'm not enough, obviously, if I would have figured this out by now. No, there's a pull back from it. Look at the energy creatively. This is relationships, work, otherwise. This is like core beliefs, right? Core beliefs. Um, and I feel like with this, it's like you're setting core intentions. You're setting core intentions. And I've talked about this before with the desire map by Danielle Laporte. It's like that's core desired feelings. So like you go to your core feelings, but that becomes your core intentions. And that's what informs all of this here. Um, all of this here just meaning the ways that this is like the ending of something and the bringing in of the new. I honestly, like, regardless of the lunation, and the way that you can use that energy, I feel like if you're feeling like letting go, set it to ceremony. Make it into something that earmarks the time and celebrate it. Celebrate that time, right? Um, I went to Algonquin Park. My friends rented a cottage there last summer, and that was the first time that people like that I was Charlie at a party with people that I didn't know. Um, I had not begun any kind of transition as yet, aside from changing my name informally before I did it formally on paper and all of that. And it was like that trip was like the ending that I couldn't give myself up to that point, right? And I feel like you have to, there's like some way to mark that, to mark that ending. And then, this month, those same friends are getting together. We're having a Charlie day. That's 3333 on the time. So it's like it's doing something like that. I talk about those experiences because it's like, yes, we can welcome in new. We have things like birthdays and all of that, but how do we celebrate the release? Celebrate the release. The person that you had to be in those situations is about who you became. And then now who you are unbecoming to go into another cycle that is to your benefit. So it's like allowing this release and marking it with something substantial, and it may seem silly. I love doing stuff like this. Like it helps me to ground what's happening in my life into something that is it feels, I don't want to say pure, can be kind of, it's a dicey word to use because there's so many connotations. But it feels like you get to this place where your energy, it returns to its innocence. It returns to its innocence, and it's like the restoration of perspective. So I feel like that's really important. I'm going to pull one more here. Yeah, restoration of perspective. I really love it when Spirit's like, I said what I said the first time. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely giving yourself that time, right? And this, to me, this strikes me as something ceremonial, but this is also the rest. So it's like maybe rest as a ceremony, right? Or some kind of ritual where you ground all of this beautiful energy. And it's not even about having gone through it. I think it's like this tells me that there's a way that maybe you haven't been giving yourself credit enough. Because that's a form of investment too. That's a form of investing in your own energy. And investing in yourself and saying that you're worth it is giving yourself the credit to say, I did this. I don't have to be this forever, but I did this. And I'm so proud of who I had to be so that I could be this person now, so that I could be me now, right? That energy. And that is, to me, that was what transitioning was, and coming out and starting tea and all of that. That's what that was. It's like, I've said it before, but I really I will forever be grateful for who I was, because, and Lucas Silveira talked about this on Instagram before, where it's like, you have to really grieve who you had to be. And I had to grieve her. I had to grieve, the person that I was to other people, right? So that I could then become myself. And that is huge. That's a big deal. But I feel like that the reason why I'm picking up on that here is because it's such a powerful process, one. And two, I see markers of it in these cards. So okay, incoming. I love that she just casually stretches. Like she knows there's a reading. She's like, I'm actually the main attraction. She's not a Leo, but let me tell you, I love you. I love Leos. Let's kid here. I love life and life loves me. I love life and life loves me. When you feel envy or lack, say to yourself, I love life and life loves me. Be in love with your life. Let your life bless you today. Yes. And that is the blessing. Isn't it such a funny thing where we can look for I'm going to find the things to breathe. And it just arrives, right? So anyway, so this is, you are divine beauty. Yes, indeed. Dearest you, we have a secret to share with you. If you act as if all is well, it will be. Act as if you're brave and you will have courage. Act as if you are loved and you will be a magnet for love and experience the love of Spirit. Act as if your prayers have been answered, as if you are truly in sync with good fortune. How you think is how you will see the world, interact with it, and draw conclusions from it. If you want to be the person who is the life you want, co-creating and loving what is yours, you need to start acting as if that were truth. Don't worry about the conditions in your life that seem empty or cavernous, chaotic or barren. These are temporary and don't even count. Defy them and act as if you're the luckiest person on the planet. You will be, for you already are. That's the real secret. You are infinite potential. Loving you so much, rainbows explode in the ether. Yeah. And that could be something to do. I was hearing Jupiter retrograde. So, just working on ways that I don't know. Yeah. I'll read that sentence again because I feel like I want to rephrase it, but I'm just going to do it up here. Don't worry about the conditions in your life that seem empty or cavernous, chaotic or barren. These are temporary and don't even count. Defy them and act as if you are the luckiest person on the planet. You will be, for you already are. Yeah. And that's your reading. What a Friday message, though. Yeah. So if this resonated, give it a like, subscribe. There are other things you can check out on my channel. So do check that out. And there are other ways you can connect thusly. So do so if you feel so inclined. But if this is where we part, my darling daily creatives, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, that it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.